In this first module, we're going to cover everything about social media, organic social media, an overview that you need to know. So let's go ahead and jump right in. In this module, we're going to cover an understanding of the platforms themselves, which ones you should be on, what actually works, and how to get attention, okay? Let's take a look at this first. I think that you have some beliefs that may be stopping you from some success on social media. If you think the algorithm hates you, or you've been shadow banned, or you're stuck at 200 views, or I hear people say social media won't work for my business, or I've tried everything and nothing works. None of those are true. The reality is boring marketing doesn't work. When we talk about social media, we don't want to be just treating it like it's a checklist marketing item. We don't want to treat it like it's just something that you have to do. We want to put the effort into it to actually connect with people. Our goal in all of this is to kill mediocre marketing. The better you get at marketing, including social media marketing, the better you get at connecting with your audience, the more your sales will increase. Let's take a look at the platform. One of the things I'm always asked is, which platform should I be on? The reality is, if you cannot be on all of them, I want you to be on the platform that your potential customers hang out on the most. Not the platform you like the most, not the one that you spend the most time on, not the one you're most comfortable with. I want you to take a look at where are your potential customers hanging out the most and make sure that you're on that platform. If you're only choosing one platform, you definitely want to make sure that you're on the platform where your customers are hanging out. Another important step of the platforms is to really understand the psychology of the person on that platform. It will change what we're posting and how we're posting. What do I mean by that? The person that is on LinkedIn may be on Instagram at a different time, but they're going to have very different goals when they're on each of those platforms. So when I'm on Instagram, I might be wanting more to be entertained or learn things in a short amount of time. But when I'm on LinkedIn, I'm in a very business mindset. So I might be trying to find certain things for my business, right? So the mindset and the psychology of the person on the platform, even if they're the same person, is different. And we need to cater to that. We need to make sure that we're looking at the platform as a whole and putting out content that aligns with that platform and what people are looking for when they're on that platform. I highly encourage you to cross-post and cross-engage with the different platforms. Now, let me be clear, that does not mean you can just take one post and put it on all the platforms. The reality is, as I said, the psychology is a little bit different. So you might need to change it a little bit. The caption might be a little bit different. The call to action might be a little bit different. But the more you can take your social media content ideas and adapt it to the different platforms, and then make sure that you're posting on multiple platforms, the better your reach is going to be. That being said, if you can only master one platform, if you're only going to stay consistent on one platform, then I want you to choose the platform that your customers are hanging out on, or your potential customers are hanging out on, and master that platform first. Let's take a look at the different platforms and how they kind of are a little bit different in the way that we post and engage on these platforms. So X, or Twitter, and Threads are platforms that allow you to post a lot. And what I like about these platforms is we can post multiple times a day, sometimes up to 5 or 10 times a day, and use that to see what gets the best reaction. So if I just post, I like to use Twitter or Threads as a way of people just posting everything they're thinking, different social media content ideas, just the different thoughts that they have as it relates to their business or to their niche, and start posting. you will see that there are going to be some that stick, right? Some that perform better, some content ideas that people react to more on X or Twitter or Threads. Those are great ideas to now turn into additional content pieces, right? So it allows us to see what actually resonates with our audience in a very short period of time, because we can do text based only if we want. We don't have to really create a whole lot to go with those actual platforms. So we can just very quickly post it and then actually see which ideas and which pieces of content are resonating with our audience, and then take those and make them into more content pieces for the other platforms. TikTok is more of a find you platform. So this is what we consider more of a discovery platform. We do want a mix of discovery and warming up our audience platforms, right? So the discovery platform is, again, like where you're introducing yourself, where we're offering that free beer. So TikTok and YouTube Shorts tend to be more of a discovery or find you platform, while Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn are more for people to get to know you. So they've already seen you once, and it's a way to warm up that audience. It's in that get to know you phase of the staircase. Now, again, if you're only using one, you're going to create mix, and we're going to talk about different types of content in module 3, but you're going to create a mix of these on that platform. So when we're talking about these platform tips, it's if we're going to mix multiple platforms and how to approach each different type of platform. Again, YouTube Shorts are performing really well. They continue to perform really well. And it is more of a discovery platform. So it's a way to get people to discover you quickly. One thing I want to remind you is Facebook continues to trend as the #1 way to increase followers. So oftentimes Facebook is like, hey, we kind of disregard it, but it is the #1 way to increase your followers. That being said, if you have an audience that is under 25, Facebook probably is not the place for you. Most people under the age of 25 aren't on Facebook as frequently. And so if your audience, like, this is where knowing your audience and where they hang out comes in really important. If your audience is highly above 50 or 60, then Facebook has to be a place where you are and where you're creating content. So when we go back to figuring out which types, where you should be, the #1 indicator of where you should be is where your audience is hanging out. I want you to understand how the algorithms actually work. So when we start to talk about nobody's seeing my stuff, or I'm shadow banned, or the algorithm hates you, I promise you, the algorithm does not hate you. The algorithm doesn't have any feelings, so it can't like you or hate you. The algorithm's entire goal is to keep people on the platform. That is it. So the longer that people stay on the platform, the more money those platforms make. You see, what they want is to be able to sell ads, right? And so the longer people stay on the platform, the more ads they can sell, the more that they can put their ads in front of people. So the algorithm's only goal is to keep people on the platform, which means attention is the new currency. If you are getting and keeping people's attention, so if they're watching your videos, if they're interacting with you, if they're sharing your content, then the algorithm is going to love you. That is all the algorithm is paying attention to, is how much attention are you getting on the platform, and are you able to keep people's attention? Attention is the new currency. If you can get and keep people's attention, you will have a lot of success on social media. And what I want you to understand is, as as we are going through what we've called kind of the TikTokification of social media, people's everything is based on people's interests now. So these algorithms, these platforms know what you're interested in, know what you're interacting with, know what you're actually watching. And so it's going to serve more content to you that is like that. So that's why attention is the greatest currency. When you start to get people's attention, when they're watching you, then these platforms are going to show you to more people because you've proven that you can keep attention. Okay. So that is all that's going on with the platform. So the key here is you have to understand that your goal is to get attention. Additionally, without attention, you can't introduce yourself. So as we talked about moving through that marketing staircase, we have to be able to introduce ourselves before we can offer our free beer, before we can really get to know people. We have to be able to introduce ourselves. So if you can't get attention, you don't ever have the ability to introduce yourself. So how can we get attention? The first thing is to create compelling content. Don't be boring. Don't always just be phoning it in. Even if you're using B-roll content, so if you just film a video of you doing something and you're going to put text on the screen, that's what we call B-roll, you still need to be compelling. I want you to feel free to get loud. Feel free to be polarizing. Say things that other people are afraid to say. And understand that the most important part to getting attention is your hook. We have many different types of hooks. And in your free resources, we have some different, I think a list of like 40 or 50 different hook ideas that you can use. But your hook is, or the first 3 seconds of your video when you're creating video content, and your captions are the most important part of your video. So when you're looking at how do you get attention, that hook. So it might be a visual hook where you have text that gets attention. It's also the things we say in the first 3 seconds of our video. But the first 3 seconds of any social media post are the most important. So you need to make sure that your hook is good. You need to make sure your hook is capturing people's attention. That is 80%. So if 80% of the success of your video, at least 80%, is based on the first 3 seconds, then you should be putting 80% of your effort into creating your hook, into that first 3 seconds, because it will make or break your video. And it gives you the ability to actually test different hooks, different headlines. Even with one content idea, you can do it in a couple different ways and see which resonates with your audience the most. But you need to make sure that you're spending time in really thinking through what that hook is going to be, what it is going to say, to what you're going to actually say or do to get attention. And the goal of this is to stand out. If you just blend in with everybody else, you're never going to really get attention. It's going to be hard to really build your following. So we want to be different. We're going to talk about this a lot in the next module about building our own personal brand, but you want to be different. You want to disrupt what's happening. Remember, on social media, when we're in the scroll phase, when we're just scrolling on social media, the only way you can get attention is if you disrupt that scroll. So you have to be thinking about, how am I going to stop the scroll? How am I going to grab someone's attention and make them stop so that they listen to what I have to say? And as always, with everything in social media, the goal of it is to build your list, right? So we want to make sure that in our bio, in our calls to action, and some of the other things, we always have a link where we're offering our free beer. We're getting them to take the next step with us. We're getting their information. We're not just posting on social media. So we want to make sure that our goal is to build our list. Social media changes. The algorithms change and sometimes take time to catch up for us to be able to figure it out. People's accounts get shut down. I cannot emphasize this enough that your goal should be to build your list, not just your following on social media. It's fine to build your following, but you want to make sure that you're building your list as well. What I want you to remember more than anything is social media is a skill. The more you do it, the better you will get. So if you're putting in the reps, if you're posting multiple times a day, you will get better the more times you post. The great thing about it being a skill is you can learn it, right? We can evaluate what went well, what didn't, learn from it, and then make better content. I also want you to remember to be social. It is a social media platform, so make sure you're out there being social, connecting with other people, commenting on other people's things, and don't be boring. I think that is one of the most important things. We need to focus on how are we standing out. So many times I see a social media account and it almost looks like they're trying to blend in. I don't want you to blend in. I want you to stand out. Remember, the first hours after posting are really important. So go back, and if anybody comments, make sure you're replying to their comments. Make sure you're engaging with other accounts on social media right after you're posting. So those first hours right after you're posting are the most important, because that's where the algorithm is seeing if your videos or your posts are actually getting attention or not. So the more that you can interact, the more that, like I said, if you get comments, the more you can reply to those comments and interact with the people that are interacting with you, the better your content will do. Always have a call to action. So CTA just stands for call to action. What is a call to action? It's an invite for someone to take the next step with you. So that could be things like get my free resource, but the link in the bio. If you're trying to get people to follow you, that can be a good call to action as well. If you have your automated social media comment triggers set up, then you can tell people comment whatever that trigger is, comment XYZ to get your free, whatever your lead magnet is, your free beer. Okay, those are within, that can all be set up within your toolkit, and you can use those comment triggers to not only get more engagement on your post, but to deliver your free beer. But you want to make sure when we're thinking about what are we going to post, we want to make sure we're not only thinking about what our hook is, which is incredibly important, but what is our call to action? What are we going to do to invite them to take the next step with us as well? And then I want you to remember, I just want you to compete against yourself. Sometimes, like, the more you can make better videos, the more your account's going to grow. But I want you to focus on being a little bit better than you were in your last post, or a little bit better than you were yesterday or last week or last year. When we're just starting out, what I want you to remember is everybody starts at zero. If you're comparing yourself to somebody that's been posting for years and years and years, and they already have these skills beat up, it's going to feel very defeating, because you haven't actually put in the effort or built up the skills yet that they have. So don't compete against the people that you see that are crushing it and killing it and all those sorts of things. Compete against yourself. The goal should always be to get a little bit better. Okay, so make sure you're always just competing against yourself and making sure you're making your content better. And always keep in mind that every single person on social media, every single view is a person. Your goal of social media should not be to go viral, but to build your audience of people that are interested in what you have to say, so you can build up your leads and eventually be able to sell something to them. So quit thinking about things about going viral and think about what are you saying and doing to help the people that you want to help, to reach the people that you want to reach. And even if you have 200 views or even 20 views, or if you do a live and there's 3 people on, that's 3 people or 200 people. I want you to think about every single one as a person. So if you post a video or a reel and it gets 200 views, imagine being in a room with 200 people where you get to give a speech, where you get to give advice, where you get to speak. You would be pretty happy with 200 people. So don't worry about the numbers. Worry about how are you relating to and giving information to the audience and the people you want to serve. Okay, we'll see you in the next module when we talk all about building your personal brand.